What we didn't realize as a family is that in any given second, our life could change as dramatically as it did. We were a 5-people family, 2 daughters and a son, and in 1 second, our whole life changed. We never thought anything about brain injury until it happened to us.
8 years ago, my son, Taylor, who was then 15 and a half, had a blood clot in his basilar artery while he was in a shower on a Saturday morning, and suffered, as a result of that, 7 strokes. And it was a very traumatic injury. He should not have survived, according to the doctors at University of Virginia. He was actually hopeless, and today he's in his 6th year of college, and it's been a real struggle over the last 8 years, but he's doing relatively well.
I guess it all came home to me at a time when the thing that you never think will happen to you happens to you, and that's when you get the telephone call that your child has been in a serious accident, and you rush down to the hospital wondering what has happened, and when you find what has happened, the reality starts to sink in.
When I was 3 years old, I was crossing the street and a drunk driver hit me, and that's all I know. So the challenging aspect of living with TBI is getting people to understand, especially family. They don't want to listen because they want to be ignorant, because they don't want to accept the fact that you have a disability.
Well, he was 21 months old, and he had a stroke. Nobody ever found a reason for the stroke, and he was just affected by it in multiple ways, physically, mentally. He still has some paralysis on the right side. His right arm does almost nothing. His right leg gets him around. It can support him, but he has to wear an AFO to help with that support. And mentally, he's 12 years old, and he's still working probably on a 2nd grade level academically.
Brain Injury Services is just such a tremendous gift to Southwest Virginia. 8 years ago, when my son was injured, there was nothing in place to assist families. You came from the hospital not knowing what to do next, and it was very frightening. There was no one there to take your hand and tell you what possibilities there were out there. You were dealing with your emotions as an individual and as a family. You were trying to deal with a child who was severely injured, and there was no one there to lead you. And, you know, had Brain Injury Services been in place 8 years ago, it would have been just wonderful for us, because we would have had somewhere to go and someone to help us. I'm so thankful that now in Southwest Virginia, people will have a place to seek help.
I feel like Brain Injury Services has provided a very significant need in Southwest Virginia, particularly in the Roanoke and the New River Valleys, for providing continued care with individuals after they leave the medical setting. Sometimes it's a matter of integrating them back into the school system, taking the recommendations from the rehab physicians and treatment team, and then taking those recommendations and working with the school system, working with psychologists in the school system, working with teachers to try to help facilitate the recommendations after they leave rehab.
A brain injured person has a tremendous amount of potential. Mostly, they can go back to jobs, they can go back to work, they can be integrated in their family, but they simply can't do that by themselves, not only because of the skills they have to learn, but because other people have to understand what are the disabilities that they have and how they can fit in that job or school situation.
Brain Injury Services of Southwest Virginia provides services to people who live in the Roanoke and New River Valley. We serve people who have had an acquired brain injury, and that can be the result of a stroke, an aneurysm, somebody who's been in a car accident, a bicycle accident, somebody who's had an assault, any kind of trauma to the head, gunshot wounds. Case management is an interdisciplinary approach to providing services to people who have an acquired brain injury. And those services can address different areas such as financial, rehab, medical, education, social and leisure activities, housing.
Life skills training is where a life skills trainer goes into a client's home and works with them on certain developed goals. When a person is in rehab setting or even outpatient rehab, they're receiving usually speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, but when they come home, there's nothing there to help them. And so this service, service of life skills training that we provide at Brain Injury Services, is vital for them to regain their independence. We help train them with organizational skills, household management, budgeting, cooking, cleaning, grocery shopping, computer skills. We have specialized computer software that helps specifically with memory and attention. Just numerous goals we could do.
When the founding board members began establishing Brain Injury Services of Southwest Virginia, we saw it growing throughout the Southwest, and we wanted to leave a legacy. In order to make this legacy a reality, we are proceeding with plans for an endowment for Brain Injury Services of Southwest Virginia. And in the next couple years, we hope to have that established so that our services will continue no matter what happens with other avenues of funding, be they state funding, private funding. An endowment would ensure that critical services are in place for survivors and their families from here on.
Well, since I've been on my own, it's been wonderful with the help of the Brain Injury Services of Southwest Virginia.
Brain Injury Services is a good place to go because I have yet to make a phone call to that place and not just to have somebody right there at the very minute that I called. So I would say Brain Injury Services is a blessing. It's a godsend.